All right, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're gearing up for the AP Computer Science Principles exam, you already know the stakes are pretty high, right? But did you know that during the incredibly high-pressure written response section, you're allowed exactly one legally permitted piece of reference material? Just one. It's called the Personalized Project Reference, or the PPR. And honestly, here's the terrifying reality. Getting this single document wrong doesn't just cost you rubric points on your artifact submission, it literally cripples your ability to write precise high-scoring responses on exam day. If your PPR is flawed, your score sinks before you even pick up your pencil. No way we're letting that happen. Today, we're going to make sure your PPR is absolutely flawless.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll cover exactly what the PPR is. Then we'll break down Screenshot 1, which is all about the list, followed by Screenshot 2, the procedure. After that, we'll tackle the infamous no comments rule. And finally, we'll wrap up with your actual exam day strategy.
Okay, Section 1. What exactly is the PPR?
I want you to picture this. You're sitting in the exam room. The clock starts ticking. You open your test booklet to the Create Performance Task written prompts. What is the single most important document you'll have sitting right there on your desk? Think about it. It's not a textbook. It's definitely not a formula sheet. It's actually a document you created yourself.
Yep, that document is the Personalized Project Reference. So, the PPR is this two-part artifact that you submit right alongside your Create Performance task. It's basically made up of two super specific screenshots taken directly from your program's source code. Now, on exam day, you'll get a printed or digital copy of this exact document to look at while you write your responses. Think of it as the vital bridge between the code you hammered out at home and the questions you absolutely have to answer in the exam room, which means getting it right before you hit submit is a really, really big deal.
Moving right along to Section 2, Screenshot 1, the list.
Now, what's really interesting here is how precise the College Board is. They specify the required content of each screenshot with absolute precision. And honestly, a ton of students lose points simply by capturing slightly the wrong region of code. So for Screenshot 1, you've got to include two specific things regarding a list or, another collection type. Step 1, you have to capture the exact line where the list is created and initialized. Step 2, you must capture a completely separate code segment where that exact same list is actually used by the program, like a loop that iterates over it or maybe an index access. And hey, quick pro tip. These two segments might live in completely different parts of your source file. You can actually just capture them as two separate sub-images inside the single PPR screenshot, or just do a nice vertical crop if they happen to be sitting close by.
Let's ground all these abstract rules with an example program from our source material. It's called the Study Streak Tracker. So for this specific program, Screenshot 1 has to capture the exact initialization line, which is study_records equals open and close brackets, along with a block of append calls that pre-populate it. But wait, that is only half the requirement. You absolutely need a separate crop showing the for record in records loop where the list is actually being iterated over later in the code. Because look, if you only show the initialization but totally leave out the usage, your screenshot is just invalid. You need both pieces of the puzzle to prove to the grader that you actually understand data abstraction.
All right, let's jump into Section 3, Screenshot 2, the procedure.
So, while Screenshot 1 is all about your data, Screenshot 2 is entirely focused on your algorithm. This screenshot must show the complete definition of your student-developed procedure. And guys, when I say complete, I mean complete. It has to include the procedure header, meaning that def line with all its parameters. It must include the entire procedure body, all the way down to the final return statement or just the very last line of the body. And crucially, this is huge. Every single line must be clearly visible and readable.
Now this creates a very real formatting danger for those of you who write really complex code. If your procedure is longer than one screen, you've got to be super careful. You must scroll or zoom out so the complete body fits perfectly in the frame. You'll probably need to use a smaller font to show all the lines in one go, but listen to me. Here is the absolute limit. Do not go smaller than a 10-point font. If the exam reader can't read your code, or worse, if you accidentally crop out the final return statement at the bottom, you lose the points. Period. End of story.
Which brings us to Section 4, the no comments rule.
Okay, this is the rule that literally surprises almost everyone, and it is entirely non-negotiable. Absolutely no inline comments are allowed in your PPR screenshots. Take a look at this comparison. Over on the left side, we've got perfectly good code, but it contains a few helpful hashtag comments explaining the logic. If you submit this, it gets flagged as non-compliant immediately, and you earn 0 points for the artifact rows that depend on it. Why? Well, because the College Board knows you could just use comments to narrate the code, essentially cheating the written response requirement. Now, on the right side, we see the exact same code, but it's entirely stripped of comments. This is the only version that earns full points. Seriously, even a single comment line will completely ruin your submission.
Now, obviously, you should be writing comments in your actual code file. I mean, that's just good programming. So how do you get compliant screenshots without completely ruining your original source file? Well, here are the best acceptable fixes. First up, you can do a little comment stripping pre-processing. Basically, make a temporary copy of your Python file, run a quick search and replace to delete all the lines starting with a hashtag, take your screenshots from that copy, and then just toss it in the trash. Remember, submit your original code file with all the comments, but use the stripped version for the screenshots. Second, a lot of IDEs actually let you simply fold or temporarily hide comment lines, which is super handy. And third, what about doc strings at the very top of a function? Technically, yeah, they are string expressions in Python, not comments. However, the rules on doc strings have definitely varied in the past, so the absolute safest approach is to just remove or fold those too. Just show the code.
All right, final stretch. Section 5, your exam day strategy. A highly readable PPR isn't just about avoiding penalties, it's honestly a massive strategic asset. When you're under severe time pressure during the written exam, you need to be able to find relevant lines instantly. So, you've got a format for success. While the absolute bare minimum is a 10-point font, definitely aim for a 12-point minimum if you can make it fit. Ensure that line numbers are turned on in your IDE and are clearly visible right there in the screenshot. And please make sure there's absolutely no identifying information like your name anywhere in the image. Having clean code with crystal clear line numbers is exactly what allows you to write incredibly strong exam answers.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates the exact phrasing that a high-scoring student uses on exam day. They write, as shown in screenshot 2 of my PPR, lines 28 through 73 define compute_streak. The procedure uses the parameter target_subject in the selection condition at line 49. Do you see how incredibly powerful that is? This response is precise and it's falsifiable. The exam grader can literally look at line 49 in your PPR and verify that the parameter is used exactly how you claim it is. Meanwhile, a student who just vaguely writes, "Oh, my procedure computes a streak," without citing any line numbers, is probably going to receive a partial or even a 0 score. Your perfectly formatted PPR is the hard evidence that guarantees you those points.
Let's leave you with one final thought to mull over. Imagine your student-developed procedure is, say, 55 lines long, but on exam day, you realize your screenshot only captured up to line 40. You sit down to write and the grader cannot see your final return statement. Is your entire procedural abstraction score already gone? So as you finalize your submission tonight, please double-check your code frames, because a single hidden line is literally the difference between a 0 and a perfect score. Keep your code clean, use those line numbers, and master your PPR. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, good luck out there.